why am I doing project preservation? That's a question that actually a lot of people ask me, like family members and friends are like, you know, you're not Jewish, you're not Greek, right? So like, why is this so important to you?
I'm from the Navajo Nation, but genocide is very important to discuss for me because a lot of times it's not really specified in Native American history. No one likes to put that label on it, even though that's what I feel has happened to my people and all of our tribes.
Honestly, I saw the word Greece in the email and I was like, this looks interesting, I want to go abroad. I feel like that's something I haven't really taken advantage of at Dartmouth, and when I saw that I was like, this is a good opportunity.
The reason that I decided I wanted to go on this trip was actually simultaneously both for the trip and for the work we would be doing in the visit to Auschwitz, but also for the intellectual pursuit of kind of understanding World War II and the Holocaust now that I'm older.
I didn't really have the opportunity to apply within my 3 years, and then my senior year I saw it again and I was like, you know what, why not? Last opportunity. And I was also curious as to how the last 3 years, what I've learned and how I could bring that onto this trip and with this group.
I got involved with project preservation because I was involved with Hillel on campus, and I knew it through there, and I knew older students who had done it. And I'd been to Auschwitz before and studied the Holocaust, but always with a group of just Jews. So I thought the opportunity to study it with such a diverse group would be interesting.
As a Jewish student, obviously I've learned a lot about the Holocaust in the past, but I never sort of felt an intimate family or like personal connection to it. So going there, particularly Auschwitz and Birkenau, was something that I had wanted to do, and now is the perfect time.
I wanted to be a part of project preservation because I've always had this kind of odd fascination with the Holocaust, and people always thought it was a morbid thing, they didn't want to talk about it, but for me, I've always thought it's something that's important to learn.
While I was nervous about going back to Poland and visiting Auschwitz, and being back in that mindset, I thought actually taking an active role in cleaning up some of the damage that was done would be an honor.
This is like really healing work for me, like being able to preserve a culture, a history, like even if it's not my own, and like through that being able to like foster positive relations like in today's age.
Being in Krakow was very odd for me because I associate Poland with shtetl life, black and white, snow, and we were there when it was sunny and warm and colorful and nice, and I was sort of uncomfortable with that because I find Poland to be a place that's just about the Holocaust sometimes, and I recognize that that's not true, and I had to engage with that when we were in Krakow because it was kind of a booming city. And it was colorful and it was pretty and the food was good and we got gelato and we ran around and there was a really light atmosphere to the whole day.
Poland, I felt like it was still a country that was hiding from its past, a country that still has yet to accept that part of its history. After World War II, not much was learned from that part of history.
I didn't really like Krakow, to be honest. Krakow was not great for me. Like the experience was cool, but as a city it didn't really resonate with me. Krakow was weird because like everyone on the surface was really like placid and happy, you know, just sort of drifting around with not much to do. But then you would see like the street vendors and they would be selling paintings of the Jews holding and counting money, and they would just buy it for good luck, right? And so seeing how like close in proximity like Auschwitz was to Krakow, seeing how like recent that history was and that they hadn't really learned from it was very jarring. It was really disconcerting.
You can read all you want about genocide, about the Holocaust. You can watch documentaries. You can read. I mean, you can hear stories even from survivors. But for me, it was sort of disconnected from once I was there on the ground. It's sort of another world. You're in the physical location of where it happened, but it was so much more powerful than anything.
We had read a book just about Auschwitz and its inner machinations and the whole world that it was, and being able to see it with the group was really powerful because I had seen the things before and I knew what to expect, but I was able to focus more now on the reactions of my peers more so than on what was there. And it was powerful to be able to see both Jewish students who had never been there before and non-Jewish students who, during those 10 weeks, were really learning about Auschwitz and about the Holocaust for the first time. It was powerful to see them get this incredibly visceral reaction so quickly that I recognized having 2 years ago when I was there.
There's this room that we walked into, and it's a bunch of videos of just home videos of people playing in the lake or just studying at school, or moms trying to figure out the camera and dad's waving his hands and the kids are standing there like, what's going on? There's these wonderful, very, very human, no longer numbers, but human.
I remember going into the room with the shoes was just something that, it wasn't the hair, it wasn't pots and pans, it was the shoes for some reason, because our tour guide had told us they had labeled their shoes because they thought that they were coming out and they wanted to, make sure that they could match up their shoes. Just going about their everyday lives, and how it was just so immediate that it was cut short. Just I teared up immediately.
Not being especially religious or spiritual, this was my way of honoring them, is to look at each picture and just be like, I'm so sorry this happened. You didn't, there was nothing that you did, and I'm so, so sorry. And why, somebody asked, why Katie Foos from Minnesota would be sorry, and I feel that I have to say sorry just because I wasn't there to help. I wasn't there to do something.
Obviously, I've heard over and over again the 6 million Jews that died in the Holocaust, and over 1 million in Auschwitz and Birkenau alone, probably more than that. But for me, it's hard to sort of imagine the actual number of Jews that died. But when we got there, not only do you see all the buildings and the chambers, but we actually went into this sort of smaller museum, Jewish museum, and in it they have this sort of list of all these names, over 1 million. I think it's the most comprehensive list of Holocaust victims. And in it, I checked out my mother's maiden name, Trugman, and my grandmother's maiden name, Bloom. And I mean, I saw dozens and dozens of names there, and even though I don't know for sure that it was, a personal connection, that's my family, as distant as it may be, and that was really rough, standing in the very same rooms that they stood.
When I walked in at first into the cemetery, there were a few, tombstones that we saw, and I was like, okay, this is it. This is all we have to deal with. But then we got up there and unearthed everything, and it's amazing at how many there actually are. It kind of looks like archaeological ruins. So it's really interesting because I look at it and it's just this piece of history that sits here. And a lot of people in this town don't really know about the cemetery, and I think it deserves to be known because I think it's beautiful looking at it from right here.
At first it was hard for me to kind of work on the graves, or I felt really weird about stepping on them just because I guess I feel just so connected to this and I want it to be preserved and I want to uncover everything, you know? I want to find all, because one thing is so significant. It's not just one more grave, it's one more life and everything that comes within a life. Like, I don't know how you can categorize that as one grave. It's tremendous and it's beautiful.
This work for me is very different from, you know, just like normal day things that I do. Just this manual labor, I mean, it's very hard. I think just getting your hands dirty and, you know, being on your knees and scrubbing and really, it just feels so gratifying. Sitting down and like scrubbing dirt off of someone's name and like preserving their memories physically, I think has been so powerful. And that physical connection when you're touching a gravestone, when you see someone's name emerge from like 4 layers of dirt, I've just have really felt a lot more connected because I'm physically doing something.
I guess the way that the headstones are placed and like the process of uncovering them and like thinking about the relationships between the different people really makes it feel like a family was buried here. So that's a really cool experience. And as I'm like pulling them up, I feel like I'm giving them the chance to breathe finally after being stifled by all this undergrowth. So it's important for them as well as me. I know that like the current residents will appreciate our work here. I hope that it lasts long enough for future residents to appreciate it.
I wish I could sort of transcribe it the way Jonah does, or anyone who knows Hebrew does, but I really do enjoy raking around it, and it's hard work because you're in that moment and you're like, wow, I have to take all this and put it over there, but I really like looking at the broader picture when you're standing from the top after all the work has been finished and just looking at how much more has opened up in the cemetery after the work's done.
There's no continuity because the youngsters are gone. The youngsters have gone to Athens, America, wherever, for all these years, not only now. With only 32 left, and with the elders, about 9 or 10 of us, we're a dying community. For people who look at it will know the past and will know what's here, whether they come or not. They will still have it. You are preserving the Romaniote legacy.
What it was for you here, what you found, what it was as a mission, if I can say that.
By now we've uncovered, we're not sure of the exact number, but what seems like nearly 1,000 stones, and that's close to the number of citizens of Ioannina who were murdered in the Holocaust. And so it sort of feels good, even just by the numbers, to feel like we've made right so much of the wrong that was done.
Thank you, really. I'm very moved for all your mission. Really, I think that you are the angels of our community. Really, with all your heart, with your hands, you came here to work for us. As you notice, we are very few, we are very small community, and missions like that means a lot for us. We are unable to do all this work.
We really see who we're doing this work for, and I think that really inspired us as we went. And just over the last couple of days, I mean, we uncovered many stones, and some were completely unearthed, and they still had inscriptions on them, which we'd have never seen. And we're really uncovering history of not only our community, but the past and their forefathers, and that was just beautiful for all of us.
You gave us a lot of courage to continue this small community, because it's mathematically goes to zero, and it hurts to us very much. We cannot do something else. At least the history that will remain in the history and on those plaques and on the your work that you will do in the internet, it will remain traces from our history.
One thing I found out was that in the middle of the Star of David, the word that is there says rise. So I would just like, yeah. So I would just like to say, like, I hope that all these souls may rise again one day.